My father was a trainer for 36, 37 years. He started training in Lambourne. Then he moved to Newmarket, where I was born. And he finished in Middleham, which is where I've lived for probably 19, 20 years now. And he trained in several yards around Middleham. And I probably started riding in amateur races when I was 17 years old, while I was still at school. And then I was very fortunate to get on a scholarship course called the Darley Flying Start. Sheikh Mohammed had been very generous. 12 students. We worked in England, Ireland, America, Australia and Dubai. My focus was obviously on the training side of things, but it was primarily focused on the breeding side. I did get opportunities to spend time with trainers in all of those countries. I worked for Owen Harty in America in Santa Anita. I worked for David Hayes in Australia, and I worked for Godolphin in Dubai itself. So it was a fantastic, it was a bit of a stop-start tour of the world and the racing industry around the world. 2 years can't cover everything, but it was a great experience. America was very different to how we train here. Australia is similar in its training to here. Unfortunately, the prize money is a lot better in Australia. But it's and Dubai is a slightly separate entity. Dubai is Dubai, Arab-based focused, and it's very military run. Obviously, it's a country where it's not always natural for thoroughbreds to race during the day. But the Dubai World Cup, it's a fantastic concept by Sheikh Mohammed, and it's been a big boost to the racing industry. I was very fortunate enough to meet him in the Burj Al Arab, which is the Sail Hotel. He took us all out for lunch, and he's a very, very down-to-earth guy. And his passion is racehorses. That's where Dubai, they relied on the Arab horses to get them around, and they are where they are because of the horse. So he's trying to give back as much as he can. We've got fantastic gallops. We've got 1.5 mile grass gallops. We've got 1.5 mile wood chip gallops. We've got polytrack gallops. We've got fantastic schooling facilities, and it does cater for every type of racehorse. Be it a 5 furlong 2-year-old or a 3 mile chaser. We've won. Middleham's had Royal Ascot 2-year-old winners, and it's had Gold Cup winners and Grand National winners, so it really does cover every aspect. The high moor it's a testing gallop that only suits horses when they're at a certain stage of fitness. You don't start off with a young horse or a horse that's just come back into training. They don't canter around the high moor. They need to be down on the low moor training down there. So, and I'm quite a distance from the high moor, but I only want to send a horse there that I need to get particularly fit or whatever. And the journey up to the high moor and the journey back from the high moor is a positive. It's a long track, and the longer the horse stays out its box, the better. Currently we're on 26 winners, which is 26 winners in a year and a half is acceptable. It might be more by the time viewers watch the DVD. Hopefully it is more by the time viewers watch this DVD.
By a length and a half now. Running second is Jack Smudge. Azura DiCaprio now takes second over a furlong out, and he's taking dead aim at the leader. Elin Daly with Azura DiCaprio moving up alongside. Azura DiCaprio hits the front inside the final furlong, edging towards the stand side. Azura DiCaprio, Elin Daly rallying, but Azura DiCaprio held on.
trained a winner for JP McManus, which is fantastic. AP rode him.
Flights they come. Claude Carter in front, shaken up. A stone's throw now, ranging up to challenge, rather nursed into it by AP. And a stone's throw now comes upsides Claude Carter. Draw towards the final fence. A stone's throw over safely, and now extending the lead from Claude Carter. The Taste of Paradise, a remote third, and then Holly's favourite. It's AP again, and a stone's throw is drawing clear. He travelled well, and he put it to bed quite readily.
When my father was training in the last 3 or 4 years, we've had Cheltenham winners. He's had a Group 1 winner in France. We've had, I mean, he's done it all. He's had a winner at every racetrack in the country, which, apart from Foss Lass, that suddenly appeared, I don't think anyone's ever done. So that's great. But he's if I can get anywhere near to the amount of winners or the success that he's had over 30, 36, 37 years, I'll be very happy. Yeah, well, I think horses owners should certainly have a look and come to Middleham to have a look, because there's all sorts of factors. The biggest factor is the facilities are great in Middleham. It is a fantastic place to train a racehorse. There's no rush to train the racehorses in Middleham. It's a place that can train winners all year round. The facilities will stand training all year round. The other factor is it's a lovely place to train and to see a racehorse being trained. The scenery, the views on Middleham Moor are absolutely stunning, and owners, that's the first thing they always say when they have a racehorse gallop on the moor, is that they're amazed by the scenery. Obviously, the times where they are, you have to move into thinking about costs, etc. And it is more economical. Certainly, the statistics. It's a more economical place to train. Certainly, for my training fees, obviously, I don't know what every trainer's in Middleham's training fees are, but our training fees are very competitive, and we're able to maintain those training fees when they're not going to go up. And it's, you need to make it affordable. And luckily, around Middleham there are probably 15 racecourses within an hour and a half, which is with the price of diesel, etc. It does keep the costs down, and you can go to York. They're not just, they're not small racecourses. You've got York and Doncaster and all those places within reach. If you've got a horse good enough to go there.
I started as a schoolboy when I was still at school, riding out for Frank Carr in Walton. He was a wonderful trainer. He actually trained a very good Royal Hunt Cup winner called Camandoo for the late John Banks, who was one of the sort of a bookmaker of his time from Glasgow, an enormous bet ridden by Lester Piggott. And I was at school and remember watching it on the television and excitement of it all. And then, as soon as I left school, I went to work for Bruce Hobbs in Newmarket, who was the youngest man ever to ride a Grand National winner at age 17 on a horse called Battleship. He was a great disciplinarian, and everything had to be done right when we were there. And then he very kindly got me the job with Arthur Budgett at Watcombe, who was looking for a pupil assistant at the time. And I went there at the age of just over 18. And I was with him for 8 years, and during that 8 years we had, I just missed out on Blakeney. He'd been the previous year who won the Derby. But I was there for Morstan, who won the Derby in 1973. It was a terrific thrill to being involved with the Derby winner. And we had also a marvellous head man there called Tom Dowdswell. He'd been involved with 4 Derby winners in Tullier, Windsor Castle, Windsor Lad, Tullier and Morstan and Blakeney. So it was a really good place to learn how to train horses and Arthur Budgett was a great mentor and wonderful trainer. He trained sprinters, stayers, you name it. And I used to come up to Redcar with an old horse called Petty Officer, who won 6 out of 7 races of the 7 times he ran up there, which was incredible, really. And then he decided he was going to pack up, so I had to look for other premises, and I went down to Whitsbury in Hampshire, which had been occupied by Sir Gordon Richards, and Bill Marshall was my predecessor there, and owned by the bookmaker William Hill at the time. Well, he'd just died, it was going to be split up. So and then I gradually sort of moved back to Oxfordshire, and then I thought I ought to come back to Walton because it was where I was brought up and what have you. But I felt it wasn't the place I'd left behind. It had been very built up and very busy compared to what it used to be. And the south had got very busy too, everything, to go anywhere you had to, traffic jams everywhere. So we thought it was time to make the move north. And we came to Middleham, which I'd never been to before. And I couldn't believe what a wonderful place it was. So we came to look at Middleham and found it to be a wonderful, wonderfully quiet place where you could train horses very well. They had fantastic facilities, greatly underused, and they actually have improved since we've been here because we've spent an awful lot of money on gallops and the all-weather gallops and what have you, and they're infinitely better than when I came here in 1992. And it is, if you can't train a good horse here, you won't train one anywhere, in my book. And we've had a lot of success here. We've got the grass gallops now as good as they've been, as I say, since I've been here, and probably, if not better. And the all-weather gallops are seriously good. We have 2 sets of gallops, the low moor gallops, which we use most of the time, where we have a polytrack all-weather, and the high moor where we have a wood chip all-weather. But the grass on the high moor, which is open during the summer months, is absolutely superb. Well, my best horses have been Hunters of Brora was one of my early ones up here. We won the Lincoln with her. And then I've had Rich Ground was extremely good 2-year-old, won the July Stakes and was 4th in the Prix Morny in France, Group 1, was 3rd in a Group 3 in Ireland. Very good horse. And then we've had a very good mare called Strawberry Dale, who she won a listed race and a Group 3 at York. And she was very good. And then I've had Hartley, who was in listed class. And then probably the best horse I've had was Dear Old Mine, who won 3 Bunbury Cups, a Victoria Cup and a Royal Hunt Cup with him. And he was a seriously good horse, and he trained very well up here. And I think you can train all sorts here. You can train from sprinters to stayers to jumpers, you name it. So much quieter, probably more relaxed, but you don't have traffic problems like you get in the south. And also, you've got on your doorstep, you've got a mass of racecourses from Catterick to Ripon to Thirsk to York to Doncaster to Beverley, all within just over an hour's drive. And Newcastle's very close, and Redcar's very close. And you can't actually want for anything more to have, and especially in this day and age of costs of getting horses to racecourses. It's so handy to have them all on your doorstep.
My dad trained in Middleham, Ernie Weymes, for 45 years, and his dad before him trained in Middleham. obviously, fortunately, he died. So Dad ended up being the youngest trainer in the country at the time. I think he was 21 when he started training. Dad mainly trained flat horses. He had the odd hurdler. The great Lanzarote actually started his flat career with Dad before Fred Winter got him. So there's been a bit of jumping flat throughout the family for many years. Major Dawn, incisive, won the Cecil Frail at Haydock. Drummer Hicks, he won quite a lot of good known handicaps. Yeah, I'm the third generation, so it's been there for a long time and hopefully it'll continue. I rode as an amateur, yes, for about 6-7 years. Rode over hurdles, rode winners over hurdles and also on the flat for Dad. Gordon Richards, I rode a winner for him at Hexham. Gordon's, I was there for 8 months during one winter, schooled a lot with the likes of Neil Doughty, Brian Harding. Picked up a lot of different tips the way he trained the old chasers. Well, basically, obviously Dad trained here and the yard was there, so we took over the yard, but the facilities are second to none. Beautiful countryside. I mean, the view from the high moor was absolutely breathtaking. Good location, you've got York, Thirsk, Ripon, Catterick just down the road. The gallops are really well maintained. The high moor location's great to warm your horses up going up, do their exercise and the switch off walking back in. The favourite of the yard is Almaty Express, who recently recorded his 14th win at Wolverhampton, which puts him joint level, I believe, with the record holder, so we just need one more, and then he's top dog there at the minute.
It's Almaty Express in front, but here come the challengers. Davin Leaney, the first to challenge on the outside, moves up now within about a length of the leader. 2 lengths away, Euroquip Boy, then Katie's Secret rattling home from Simple Rhythm, but punched out Almaty Express is just holding on.
We've had numerous ones placed in Group 2s and Group 3s. We've just lacked a little bit of ammunition the last few years, but hopefully we can build on that and get some nice horses. Well, I think travel costs, we've got all these courses like York, Ripon, Thirsk, Catterick just down the road, which obviously the transport, the way the diesel is at the minute, the transport fees are horrendous, so from an owner's point of view, it's going to be a lot cheaper having a horse trained in Yorkshire. Obviously the training fees are a lot cheaper than the other larger training places, centres such as Newmarket and Lambourne. So it's really, it's a nice place to train horses, it's a nice place for owners to come and see them on the gallops. Hotels locally are very good, a lot of really good restaurants to go and entertain, take your owners and really give an owner what they should be getting from having a horse in training.
I had a big interest in ponies when I was sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, and there was a couple of small trainers that trained locally to Rugby where I was living at the time, and used to go and work with them at weekends, etc. And basically built my interest up from there. And there was a jockey, Ian Johnston. He rode Dominion for half the budget, and he was quite a successful jockey at the time. His dad used to come in the pub and had contacts from there, and got to know Ian quite well at the time, and he sort of took me under his wing for a year or so and taught me the basics of being a jockey. We started actually at Newark, Nottinghamshire, about 5 miles from Southall. They'd just put the all-weather in there. We were doing our livery work from that particular property, but in hindsight, I should never have started training from there. The facilities, gallops, etc. were never good enough. We only trained there for 6 months after living there for a couple of years. And then we moved to Broadway, near Cheltenham, to a yard owned by Michael Barrow, who had just retired as manager of Duran Duran, the pop group. And he made a pile of money out of them, and he was very interested in horses, so we took over his yard. We were there for a couple of years. Following that, we moved to a yard at Ginge, near Wantage, Wantage, Oxfordshire. And we trained there for 5 years, and things started to snowball then, and the winners were getting more and more every year, and things started to take shape. we move from Lambourn to Newmarket, which was never the plan. I never really wanted to go to a big training centre like that. The gallops are obviously superb at Newmarket, but they are very heavily populated with horses. Traffic now has become a major problem. And although we were very successful at Newmarket, we just felt it was never our plan to go there, and we never fully settled there. And we heard about Spigot Lodge being on the market at the time. Guy Reed owned the property, came up to have a look. I'd never been up to Middleham, and it's a beautiful part of the world. And it was very important at the time for us, where we had 2 young daughters, and to bring them up in an area like this was much preferable than bringing them at Newmarket. But that said, we looked at the gallops. Obviously, Mark Johnston was a big advert for the area at the time and for the gallops, so we knew that they were good enough if the horses were good enough. And the gallops here are very, very good. And I would go, and I've always said this since we've been here, the artificial gallops in Middleham are as good as any artificial gallop in Newmarket. You know, maybe we lack the grass gallops to compare if you compared them to Newmarket, but gallops are superb. Very, very healthy area, and I think that's very important. You know, pollution is non-existent up here in the hills, where you get to Newmarket and there's a lot of traffic there. Been well publicised. They're building more and more houses, etc. So it's not going to get any better. Lambourn, very similar problem. They're close to the M4, maybe not as heavily populated as Newmarket. Epsom, identical. So I think it's very, very important that we're quite high up here. It's that bit cooler, but the airflow is great, and it's a very, very healthy environment for training a racehorse. We've trained, the biggest was the Group 1 Prix Jean Prat in France at Chantilly in 2009. That was a great result with Lord Shanicle, a horse we bought in Kentucky. That would be the biggest winner of my career. We've trained a lot of handicap winners, big handicap winners, and other group races as well. We've had Group 3s, Group 2s, listeds. So it's been a very successful place for us to train from.
Heading down then with less than 2 furlongs to go. Shamandar on the right now. The maroon and light blue jacket is challenging Kagatozi. And the outsider of them, Rainier, the red jacket, white sleeves, coming through and almost takes it up now. And as they head down into the last furlong, it's Rainier who's come through, leads by about a length or so to Kagatozi in second place. And as they race towards the line, Rainier, the outsider, has won it. Kagatozi second, tight third, Shamandar and Norville.
I think to train a horse in Middleham, a major issue is a safe environment for your horse. And Middleham compared to other training centres, very, very low on traffic. It's just a totally safe environment. It's very much a farming community. The local community are used to seeing livestock on roads, etc. And that is a big problem with other training centres. It's a big issue. And I think that for that reason alone, it's a great place to send a horse to train here. Once the horse is here, the owners, it's a beautiful part of the world to come and see. Some great hotels, some great restaurants, and all in all, the whole package for the owner and the horse, Middleham is the place to be.
I'm a bit unusual in that sense, a bit unique in that I never actually worked in racing for anybody other than myself. I was 3.5 years in vet practice, looking for a way into the racing industry, kept applying for jobs, looking to get a position as an assistant trainer. Didn't manage to do that, and in the end took the plunge and started myself. Obviously I studied the game for a long time before that, really right from childhood, and during holidays when I was at vet school, I went off, I toured the world really, working holiday jobs in racing yards, America, France, around Britain as well. So I had studied the job hard, I had ideas about how I was going to do it. People are always asking what made me so successful. Usually people think the veterinary angle, but I think it was more than that. It was more of a case of attention to detail and having a fixed idea of what I wanted to achieve. Well, I started with Tommy Craig up in Scotland, and when I was at vet school I would drive on a Saturday morning, 70 miles there, 70 miles back, to ride out in his yard, and he trained on the beach, which is quite unique and very interesting, and it certainly taught me a lot about using different surfaces for training. I also rode out in Newmarket a bit. I went to Charlie Milbank in France in the early 80s, and to John Russell in California, so I got about a bit. I had very fixed ideas of how I was going to do it very, very differently, and to this day, things maybe are slightly different in my yard. I always believed that I would feed the horses more, I would work them harder, they would be super fit. But really, as it evolved, I realised that the traditional methods of training were pretty near to ideal, and I don't deviate too much from that. I was training for 2 years in Lincolnshire out on the coast, and clearly it was the wrong place. I joined forces with one of my owners initially to look for a new yard, and we literally got the map out, put all the racecourses on, put the main routes on, and decided what was the best place to train. And Middleham came up. It's very, very central. I think I've demonstrated by being leading trainer at Ascot and leading trainer at Glorious Goodwood that travelling your best horses isn't a problem, but it's very important for the young horses, for the maiden horses having the first run, to have a lot of good tracks round about you. And I think a lot of people don't realise really that Yorkshire is the centre of racing in Britain, and this is the place to be if you want to get to a variety of good tracks for the introduction of the horses. I think it is a very relaxing place for the horses. Very good for the horses to wander through the village and so on. Gives them something to keep their mind off going on to the gallops. They're not doing the same thing every day. So it is a very relaxing place for horses. I don't think they get wound up the same as in a large training centre where they're perhaps walking straight out of the yard onto the gallops and doing the same thing surrounded by large amounts of number of horses and wide open spaces every day. I suppose the most notable winners in recent years would be the likes of Shamardal, the Dewhurst winner, who then went on to Godolphin and was champion 3-year-old as well. Attraction, she won 4 Group 1s for us in 1 year and 5 Group 1s altogether.
Action, but will she last it out? She kicks a length or so clear. Silka's Gift on the far side, then Hathra running on down the centre. Sundrop from Red Bloom, carry on Katie and Natalia. Attraction still holding sway, a length and a half clear of Hathra. Attraction from Hathra, Sundrop a late run on the near side. Attraction wins the Guineas.
Going back further, we had Double Trigger, Mr. Bailey's, 34 Royal Ascot winners, and almost 3,000 winners now. Well, it's a beautiful place to visit. Interestingly, I have owners from all over the world. I have very few local owners. I think if they want to come and see the horses, it's nice to make an occasion of it and to have a day away. We're surrounded by good hotels, good restaurants, and it's just a lovely place to visit. I'm always saying to owners, really, the main aim an owner has is to see their horse on the racecourse, and we do that for them. It tends to be few and far between the stable visits, particularly for foreign owners, and it's lovely to have a nice village to come to.
Yeah, I was born into racing. My father trained. He was a very successful northern trainer. He trained at Middleham for a good many years. He trained at Breckengill, where my cousin Sally now trains, up until 1960, and that's when ladies were able to get licences out. And Sally was one of the first ladies to become a lady trainer, and my father moved to Spigot Lodge, where Karl Burke now trains. And he trained a lot of winners from both places. He trained the winner of every big handicap there was, the Eber 3 times, all the Redcar, the Zetland Gold Cup. He trained the winner of the Ayr Gold Cup. He had Royal Ascot winners, the Wokingham. He was a very, very successful king of the handicaps. His advice to me was, do whatever you like, love, but don't work with bloody horses. But I spent a few years nursing, and then the lure of the horses came back, and I ran a livery yard, and I had a permit. And then in 1999, I decided I'd take out a licence, and I got my licence out in 2000. I prefer the national hunt, the atmosphere and everything, but I'm quite happy training flat horses as well. We just tend to train, we try and make it fun for the owners. Most of my owners are in it for the pleasure. They come to the yard, they spend a lot of time seeing the horses. They'll come and stay for the weekend and go walking. It's a great location, plenty of hills, a lot of hill work, but fantastic facilities. You know, the Middleham, the low moor gallops and the high moor gallop with the 1.5 mile gallop, absolutely superb facilities. It's a very relaxed atmosphere, and the horses just thrive here. My best winner is probably Sitting Tenant won the bumper, the Aintree bumper at Liverpool, and he's probably the best one we've had. We have got fantastic facilities. The gallops are wonderful for both flat and national hunt, and it's a beautiful area. Owners like to come and they like to stay and they like to walk, and there's some wonderful hotels and restaurants around, and it's just a nice laid-back place for training horses.